Hello and welcome to my review of WWE Royal Rumble 2021. It was a good show. There you go, the end. No, I want to start off on definitely on a positive note and say it was a really good show. I thoroughly enjoyed the Rumble start to finish. I did a quick Twitter poll, and I think at the time of recording anyway, it was unanimously a yay show, not a nay show. So kudos to WWE there. It was a really well booked and well performed show by everyone involved, which you don't always get to say. Like, a lot of the shows recently have had some good highlights, but for it to be pretty good start to finish has been a rarity. So let's celebrate that. 1 from 1 in 2021 there, WWE. Keep up the momentum. So let's start with the kickoff show. And on the kickoff show, it was Charlotte and Asuka defending the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I predicted Jax and Baszler to go away with the titles based on Charlotte turning on Asuka in this one. So I got the method wrong, but I got the result right, which is what matters. So 1 from 1. This match, it was pretty good. It was an enjoyable match. It was pretty, standard tag team fare for a lot of it, isolating the babyface from the partner and stuff like that. The finish came when Ric Flair, who for some reason is in a feud with Charlotte at the moment, when Ric Flair surfaced with his music, and then Lacey Evans distracted Charlotte, but then that wasn't enough, so then Ric Flair gave Lacey Evans some brass knucks. Why Lacey just didn't have the knucks anyway, as part of this plan, I don't know, but and then knocked out Charlotte for the pin, and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler won the women's tag team titles back. So, correct prediction, correct result, I should say, but slightly wrong method. I had in the back of my mind this feud between Charlotte and Lacey Evans and Flair, and Ric Flair, I should say, when I was thinking about predictions for this, but I just wasn't sure if it'd factor in. Turns out it did. So there you have it. I believe over on EBEZAsimsgames, WWE 2K20 predicted Asuka and Charlotte to win, despite being dominated for much of the match by Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. So that makes me 1-0 up against the game. So go me. Then, on to the main show. They actually kicked things off with Drew McIntyre and Goldberg for the WWE Championship, which I thought was an interesting decision, and I actually feared might have been because they wanted to give us plenty of time for the rest of the show to get the bitter taste of Goldberg winning the title from Drew out of our mouths. Put that at the start and then let us remember the rest of the show. Positively, I thought might be the play. But Drew won clean, which was beautiful. I'm not sure why he did the spear at the start. Theoretically, if he was being a smart wrestler, which Drew has been portrayed as in his WWE title reigns, he should have claymored. He should have taken that opportunity just to claymore straight away, not gone for a spear. But yeah, it was exactly what we expected of the match. It was short. It was lots of finishes. It was hard hitting. And the thing was, Drew won, which I predicted. And I called it more wishful thinking than anything, but I got it right. So happy to have got that one right. I believe the game, WWE 2K20, once again got this one wrong. I think it predicted Goldberg to pick up the win. I don't actually have any notes on those matches in front of me, so I'm doing all of this off memory. So if anything's slightly off, just let me know in the comments. That's absolutely fine. I apologise if there's any details that are slightly off. But, Drew kicked out of a jackhammer. Who's kicked out of a jackhammer? Like, not just recently, ever. It's a super short list, I believe, that have kicked out of a jackhammer. So let me know that in the comment section. I'd be intrigued to know if anyone knows for sure the limited list of people that have ever kicked out of a Goldberg jackhammer. But I don't think it's very many. So yeah, they're committed to making Drew, which I was really pleased about. Like, pleasantly surprised. I when he hit the jackhammer, because I was live tweeting the show. Link to my Twitter my Twitter details, I should say, are in the description. But when I saw the jackhammer, I started typing a tweet like, "Oh boy," kind of. And before I'd managed to type it and send it, Drew had kicked out, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. So yeah, good fun seeing Drew win. They had a moment of respect at the end. Goldberg, making Drew in quotation marks. Drew's already made. The only thing they could have done here was break him. And luckily they didn't. So appreciate that. Thank you, WWE. And I'm 2 from 2, and the game is 0 from 2. There's only 6 matches, so looks like I might have got this one, because the odds of the game correctly predicting a Royal Rumble winner are pretty low. So based on that, the max they can get now, the game can get, would be 2. Unless I'm really unlucky with them predicting the Royal Rumble winner correctly. So, next match up was the SmackDown Women's Championship match. I think me and the game agreed here that Sasha was going to retain on our predictions. Well, the prediction versus the match simulation. And she did. Correct play. As I said in the predictions video, who do you want carrying your SmackDown Women's division into WrestleMania? Carmella, who, no disrespect, has come on leaps and bounds since she moved up to the main roster, is actually quite a decent wrestler now. Got a good look, got a good gimmick, plays her role well. But she's not the same level as Sasha Banks. She's not in that top level. There's a reason they had Carmella cash in her Money in the Bank after WrestleMania. You let her run in the title scene outside of Prime season, which is Royal Rumble to WrestleMania. She's not quite at that level yet. She could be, maybe one day. Who knows? There's certain people that would never have expected her to have advanced as much as she has already, so never write someone off, but right at this moment she's just not the right woman to be leading that division. So the correct decision was made. That's the theme, I think, was none of these decisions seemed hugely offensive to the fans' intelligence. Whether everyone agrees with every single winner is up for debate, obviously, but none of them were just awful booking decisions, in my opinion. So yeah, so Sasha won with the bank statement, which I think is how she won the match simulation as well. So, no bonus points for WWE 2K20 for getting the exact finish correct, but still, a little bit of kudos from me, so well done. Well done, inanimate object. Inanimate computer program. So, yeah, I was 3 from 3 at this point, which I was pretty pleased with. The game's 1 from 3. And then we had the Women's Royal Rumble next, right? Yeah, 4th match, Women's Royal Rumble. This was awesome. This was genuinely awesome. I was a little underwhelmed by some of the surprise entrants, just because I'm not the biggest fan of the quote-unquote Divas era. And I don't mean the Lita and Trish one. I mean the era that came just after Lita and Trish were sort of on their way out. So Jillian Hall coming back didn't do anything for me. Tori Wilson wrestling doesn't do anything for me. Tori Wilson can stand on the camera all day. In front of the camera, not on the camera. That's not beneficial. We won't be able to see her, but she can stand in front of that 8K camera all day. That's fine. I was pretty pleased to see Victoria. That was cool. That was really good. Enjoyed that. So anyway, yeah, we got down to the final 3. My prediction was Charlotte, just because I thought she might turn on Asuka in the tag match and win the Royal Rumble to challenge Asuka to a rematch. That rematch could still happen. She didn't need to win the Rumble to get there. The final 3 was Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, #bars, and Rhea Ripley. And I was rooting for Ripley. Even though I predicted Charlotte, I'd rather have been wrong. Once I knew Ripley was in the match, because I only predicted from people that were confirmed for the match, which gave me an instant disadvantage, because there was a lot of surprises to be made there. But yeah, I was rooting for Rhea Ripley. She got down to the final 2, Ripley and Belair. It was a nice little throwback to the NXT triple threat feud between these 3. That was only last year, just before WrestleMania, right? Where, they were kind of defending the NXT turf, but they're also not friends. Now, Bianca's definitely on main roster. I don't know if Rhea Ripley is permanently on main roster at this point. Potentially. There was supposed to be no NXT appearances in the Rumbles tonight, so were all those women that appeared call-ups? If so, wow, that's a lot of call-ups in one go in the women's division. But, yeah, anyway, what was I saying? So, yeah, there was a nice callback to Belair and Ripley both teaming up to eliminate Charlotte and then facing off for the win. At that point, I would definitely have rather Rhea Ripley won, because I'm a big Rhea Ripley fan. So, I would have much preferred a Ripley win. I don't dislike Bianca Belair by any stretch of the imagination, but I would say I'm not as big a fan as the average wrestling fan seems to be. There was so much joy on Twitter at Bianca Belair winning, and I was happy for her, but I would have rather had Rhea Ripley win, if I'm honest. But can't be mad at the decision. It wasn't a terrible decision by any stretch. The strapping the Rocket to someone new, which look how that worked out with Drew last year in the men's rumble. You know, look, he's still going strong now. He just beat Goldberg clean, and Bianca Belair definitely has the talent to do this. Same argument as Sasha Banks and Carmella. I just feel like Rhea Ripley's got more of the star quality about her than Bianca Belair, but Bianca is certainly impressive in her own right. I would just rate Rhea Ripley slightly higher, and personal preference as well. I would have preferred that she won. But that match, honestly, if you haven't watched the Women's Royal Rumble from this year, do go back and watch it. I did another Twitter poll. That's not over yet, but I know last time I checked it, the result was almost already decided. It was which has been the best Women's Royal Rumble match so far, because there's been 4, and Twitter polls can only have 4 things. So it was like, last opportunity to ever do this poll. 2021 was winning by a landslide. It genuinely was. Like, I think it had over half the votes, which out of 4 options is pretty good. So yeah, 2021 Women's Royal Rumble, really good. Definitely recommend a watch. And not mad at the result. I didn't predict the results, so now I'm 3 out of 4. The game predicted Ember Moon to win. She was actually in it though, which surprised me. I didn't think she'd make an appearance, considering how recently she just went back down to NXT. If everyone involved was a call-up, I'd be very surprised Ember Moon is coming back up straight away. And Toni Storm as well seems to be busy in NXT. So I would think maybe that rule was just for the men's rumble about not having any NXT wrestlers in it. That said, great Women's Royal Rumble match. They had some shenanigans, some nonsense where that Rosenberg fella did the worst low blow roll-up combination in wrestling history on R-Truth and is now the 24/7 champion, presumably so he can talk about it on New York radio and get some publicity. Who cares? I'll let WWE off the hook because so much of the rest of the show was good. That's a necessary evil of WWE, that sort of nonsense that they do every so often. So, yeah, moving swiftly on from that, I think next was the Last Man Standing match, which I predicted would be really, really good. And it was. There was a couple of really brutal moments. The one that immediately springs to mind is Kevin Owens just full on getting run over by a golf cart. And people saying, oh, they stole that idea from AEW. Raven did it back in like 2001 or 2002 or something in WWE at WrestleMania. He was driving a golf cart around backstage. So don't give me that. It wasn't an original idea by AEW. And also, I want to say, Owens' bump was way better than Sammy Guevara's. Sammy Guevara jumped basically out of the way of the golf cart and just stuck his hands out and put his head somewhere near it, so it looked like he got taken out and just bounced off the side. Kevin Owens just full on went through the windshield of that thing. That was great. I mean, not actually a golf cart, but like a backstage buggy thing to get around the arena quicker. Reminds me of a golf cart. So yeah, that was really good. There was a really good moment where I was genuinely like, wait, Reigns is still down at 9 here. He was handcuffed, he couldn't get up. And Kevin Owens actually looked like he was going to win. I was like, really? Like, genuinely, like, shocked that they were going to do it. And then Reigns just single arm, just grabbed the ref and just yanked him into like a metal pole head first and just knocked him out so he couldn't count the 10. Really good false finish. I don't think I've ever seen that in a Last Man Standing match before. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take the ref out to stop a 10 count in a Last Man Standing match. If it's been done before, again, my apologies, but I couldn't bring to mind a time it had happened before, so let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, really good match. Reigns ended up winning. They botched the handcuff release a little bit, which, you know, people were jumping all over, but I think it might have been Bully Ray said on Twitter, you've just watched that match and that's the bit you're picking on, like, get a life, you know, kind of thing. Like, yeah, mistakes happen. It's fine. Like, you know, it was just a slight little botch, you know. Yeah, it's funny to have a little bit of a meme about it, but people were genuinely seeming upset about it, and it's just like, oh, get over it. Like, yeah, you know, it was a really, really good match. It was a really, really good show, to be honest. I would thoroughly recommend, if you haven't watched it, that you do. ASAP. But yeah, Reigns ended up picking up the win. I think yeah, me and the game both predicted that, so that puts me on 4 out of 5, which I said in my predictions video I wasn't confident I was going to get more than about 2 or 3, so I was pretty pleased. I was pretty confident on Sasha and Roman, and then the rest I wasn't, so like, I was pretty pleased that I am pretty pleased, I should say, that I'm up to 4 out of 5 at this point. The game also predicted Roman to win, so that's on 2 out of 5. So I'm definitely winning. The game cannot beat me now, which woo! We should figure, let me know in the comments, we should figure some sort of forfeit that I have to do if the game beats me in predictions on a show. Let me know any suggestions in the comments down below. What punishment, it's not going to obviously apply this time, but for future reference, what punishment should I have to carry out if WWE 2K whatever, or whatever game I end up using, if it beats me in a predictions contest? What should I have to do as a forfeit? Anyway, main event of the evening was the Men's Royal Rumble. And they had a tough act to follow, trying to follow that Women's Rumble. And I enjoyed this Men's Rumble. I don't think it was quite up to the massively high standards of the Women's Rumble, but that by no means it was a bad Rumble at all. I'm trying to recall like some things from that. I was very disappointed with sort of the way that Big E and Daniel Bryan, who Big E was my pick, by the way, but they were my two sort of favourites in terms of who I would have liked to have won. A bit disappointed with how both of those went out of the match. I'm just drawing a blank. I'm actually trying to remember who won. Oh, of course. No, I remember the finish now. Wow. So yeah, Edge and Orton entered number 1 and 2, and they were going at it, and in the end, Edge dropped Orton with like a ropey looking DDT on the announce table, because typical for Orton, the announce table didn't give way. He has this long standing feud with the announce table, like that it genuinely goes back like a decade now. And he just can't win. Like, the announce table always gets the better of Orton. So I thought he'd had his bell rung. But then Edge started laying into him with a chair, and he was more selling the leg injuries. So it was pretty obvious it was a worked injury. And Orton went into the back to get medical attention. And they were drawing too much attention to it as well. Like, keep cutting to him and watching him and stuff. If it's a legitimate injury, they tend to keep the cameras mostly off what's happening, with maybe an occasional update. So that kind of gave the game away. So Orton went to the back. Then, really fun moment. Oh, by the way, Carlito just showed up. Didn't spit an apple, which is good in the current climate. Instead, distracted Shinsuke with it, I think, and then hit a backstabber. But more importantly, sorry Carlito, more importantly than Carlito returning to the ring, Christian came back. I mean, I don't know if it was a one-off appearance or an actual return. Edge and Christian could potentially have some fun together if it's a bit of a return, even if it's just short-term up to WrestleMania. But so Christian returned to a huge pop, no doubt, from everyone watching at home. Obviously, no crowd to actually pop, but I'm sure that would have been almost comparable to Edge's, like maybe even comparable to Edge's, to be honest. He's just as missed these days, Christian, as Edge was up until his return. So I think the final four, it got down to Seth, Braun. Oh, Seth came back as well, which was fun. I was sort of expecting Seth a little bit though, so not as good a surprise as like a Christian or even a Carlito, because I was sort of expecting him. What was I in the middle of saying? Yeah, so it came down to Seth and Braun and Edge and Christian in the quote-unquote Final Four. Seth tried getting Braun to team up with him. Braun slammed him. I think it came down to Edge and Rollins in the end. I think Christian and Braun got eliminated, and it came down to Edge and Rollins. Edge threw out Rollins, and everyone was like, oh my god, Edge won, because obviously no one remembered that Randy Orton was technically still in the match. Orton then slithers in, RKO's Edge, picks him up, goes to throw him over the top rope. Edge immediately reverses it, so apparently he's just immune to RKOs. But, minor detail, Edge threw Orton out, and Edge won from number 1, which was really cool, really fun. So Edge is going on to WrestleMania to either challenge Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, or someone who could win the title off one of them between now and WrestleMania. But to be honest, I would think Drew and Roman are going into Mania with the titles, I would expect. Who do you think Edge is going to cash in on? He can either go straight up after Reigns, he can go straight up after Drew, or he could turn and go after Drew. Because I said this in the prediction video, his declaration promo, like where he declares for the Royal Rumble, was a bit more intense and a bit more sort of heelish, you know, a bit more bitter, going on about regaining the title that I never lost and stuff like that. There was just a bit more of an edge to Edge, pun intended. So let me know in the comments who you think he's going after and how it'll go at WrestleMania. But that brings us to the end of the show, and I don't think anyone was mad about Edge winning. Like, angry, I mean. The game, by the way, predicted... Oh, I don't even remember. It was someone really random. It wasn't Edge. I can't remember who won the Men's Royal Rumble on the match simulation. I'm pretty sure Dash Wilder was in the final two. Was it Otis? Might have been Otis. I can't fully remember, but it was someone random. So go check it out. Go check that match out. But yeah, that's the show over, and I predicted everything but the 2 Rumbles correctly, so that's 4 out of 6 for me. The game got 2 out of 6. So I pick up the win. But yeah, we'll do forfeits in future, so let me know in the comments what you think I should have to do if I lose to the game in predictions. Match simulations versus my brain. If my brain loses, what should happen to me? Let me know in the comments your general thoughts on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view as well. What you liked, what you didn't like. Let's have a conversation down there. Also, leave a like. It greatly helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new here. We're really close to 100 subscribers, and it'd be great to get there. Just because I'm pretty sure at 100 subscribers, I get to have a custom URL, so I can finally be youtube.com/WWEBeza. Instead of, some long random string of letters and numbers. So that'd be fun. And share with your friends if you think they would enjoy this review and just my channel content in general. Also, check the description for my other channels, my social media, all that good stuff. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been EBEZA, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.